Alright, everybody, welcome to Game 1 of the semifinals of Dota Underlords Championship number 4. I am BlueSapphire, and here we have, I believe, the losers of Phase 2, or just, the bottom half of the groups. I'm not quite sure how that is organized. I read the rules, but can't, I can't understand them myself, but in the last match, we had familiar faces in this one as well. We have NRVN and Grunt again from the last match. We have Bane, which I have personally seen in chat, I believe, before, and we have It's Martini, which I have also seen before. Which it's a good player, solid player, and we will see how this will turn out. As 4 Venomancers are instantly picked up by 4 different players. We will see how they will transition out or possibly stick with it, as PP also has a Tusk. It's Martini instantly gets a human sample. The person I'm spectating right now gets an instant 2-star Venomancer, which is quite impressive considering everybody else is also trying to get Venomancer. But yeah, they'll set him up for the early game. And because Venomancer is a Warlock, that can definitely set him up for the mid game as well. But we will see. Of course, it's very early to talk about builds. So let's talk about a little bit of the familiar strategies that are coming out. Maybe what we can see, especially in this top tier of competition, I would say. So what you will find is essentially sometimes there will be builds that look extremely hybrid, and that's the meta right now. Obviously, if you're a Lord, you probably know this. If you're a newer player, I do recommend following. Essentially, the meta currently, because of the new aces, is that essentially you have this hybrid build. You have a hybrid. You get a mix match of 2 unit alliances or a single 3-star alliance plus a couple of 2-star alliances. I don't believe there's any solid perfect alliances per se in this game, except for knights, and knights are very volatile in the first place, and looking for their pieces also is already posing a problem in the first place, considering that Dragon Knight is actually quite contested, considering that he is a solid unit, regardless of any sort of composition he's put in. But yeah, the current build, essentially, early game, you kind of want to have beasts. Obviously, there are some players that ride the beasts to the end of the game, and sometimes that can be good, sometimes that can be bad. Depending on if they get stuck in a rut. Obviously, these are Lord players, so their likelihood of getting stuck in a rut is quite low. And we'll follow It's Martini, actually, as, again, I've seen his play before. Unfortunately, he does not have a very solid team right now. No buffs except for the Warlock buff, but we will see if that is enough or not. He is against a full Warrior buff. Actually, no. Scratch that. He is not against a full Warrior buff. I completely forgot that a Beastmaster is not a Warrior. He is a Brawny. And, Brawny units are very solid at, just stacking up some kills. And, oh no, that is not good for literally everybody else in this game. As unfortunately, Beastmaster gets, how many? A whopping 14 kills around 4, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you don't understand why that's bad, that's because every time Beastmaster gets a kill, that is another, I believe, 30 HP. So right now, Beastmaster is at almost 1,000 HP. He literally almost has more HP than Pudge, and the game just started. In fact, I'm pretty sure, yes, he literally has more HP than Pudge right now. That is crazy. We will follow just because of that, I think we will follow Ilu UA, as we will see how much kills this Beastmaster will rack up. Obviously, he is now against a much tougher opponent in Human Sample, as he does have a tier 2 unit. However, Beastmaster gets another kill. Is he gonna go down? He will go down. Will he get another kill before he does? Yes, he will. He'll get another kill. Unfortunately, he will not get another one. But that's another 60 HP that cannot be taken away from that Beastmaster unless the opponent has a Doom. So it's gonna be curious as to how how that will go. But after that loss, unfortunately, we'll be following the 100 HP players. You know how it goes. Meanwhile, NRVN was at the top. Rather won the fifth and fourth round, or sorry, the fourth round he won, but the fifth round unable to win. Now, New Tony and Human Sample still going strong here, and Human Sample obviously with the two-star units are carrying him for most of this for this early game. Meanwhile, New Tony going for a different approach, going for a tall sort of order rather than a wide one. By that I mean Human Sample is getting 2 stars. Meanwhile, New Tony is using more units as a method to winning rounds. And it looks like Ilyua gets 1 kill and then has to receive 4 damage from New Tony, as unfortunately he does not deal enough damage to deal with all 3 of those knights and that the troll buff that comes along with it. Of course, the Heartless buff is also proccing as Bloodseeker's on the board. I did not see that, but apparently that is there. And New Tony is now the only player at 100 HP. We will see if he maintains that record or if someone flops him out. But of course, for the first 10 rounds at least, we will be following the highest HP player. Meanwhile, Grunt actually at 87 HP. It's some 90 round 7. That's a bit concerning. It looks like PP and Ilyua might be going sub 90 as well if they are not careful. PP actually has an anti-mage, so instantly nullifies the Shadow Shaman's influence in this matchup, but will it matter? No, it will not. Then Lina in the backline dealing so much damage with Laguna Blade and auto attacks. So it's Case Knight, so it's the Bat Rider, and that will be that, as PP gets eliminated by not eliminated, but they take a lot of damage from New Tony and they go sub 90. Sub 90 is not that bad, but you wouldn't want to be sub 90 per se by before round 10 even. Something you would rather want is just reduce the damage. I find that players who lose like 5 HP by round 10 have a higher likelihood of winning than a lot of those that take too much damage or win with suboptimal strategies and are unable to transition. But we will see if that is the case here. He will be against Human Sample with the several 2-star units, but will that be enough? No, it will not, as Omni Knight is picked up by New Tony. I did not even notice that, and he will have a full Knight buff and a Heartless buff, and that's pretty crazy, considering that nobody else is going Knights, neither Trolls. So he might go for the Troll Ace, for the Arms of Exodia, as I refer to him as, just to get that Troll buff, especially with the Luna bashes and stuff like that. We'll see what's in his shop. He does get Omni-Knight, he does get Shadow Shaman. And he buys another level just to put that on Chaos Knight. Actually, no. I apologize. He's not buying a level just to put that on Chaos Knight. No, he is buying a level to get to a point where next round he has a chance to get a level 4. Now, obviously, that is sort of a high roll or gamble. If you don't get a 4 cost by round 10, if you do this play, obviously, then you just kind of wasted money. But if you do get something, especially in the following rounds, then you will be ahead for quite some time, especially if it's a solid 4-star. Or sorry, a 4 cost. Like for instance, the Sand King is pretty solid. Obviously, he's probably looking for a Dragon Knight. Obviously, Arc Warden is also a solid 4-star. In fact, most of the 4-stars are pretty solid, except Marana. And he gets an Alchemist, which is a pretty solid 4-star. It'll be interesting to see if he picks it up or drops it, especially since his build is Knights. He's gonna get Necrophos eventually, so maybe Alchemist will be the pair, or I would assume Alchemist is not the pick, especially since Disruptor exists and he's an ace. Obviously, it's just intermission round, so let's check out everybody else, shall we? Meanwhile, NRVN actually has a Beast buff plus a Troll buff, plus the Primordial buff, and we will see how he deals with everybody. It's Martini has a Warrior Beast buff, pretty standard early game. Grunt has a 4 Beast buff with a 2 star of every unit except the Venomancer for his beast buff. That's pretty solid, pretty crazy in my opinion. Bane has a Demon Hunter strat. Unfortunately, in my opinion, it's fallen off for quite some time now. Unfortunately, I don't think Demon Hunter strats are very viable now. Human Sample with the Brawny team, fortunately, does not have Beastmaster, so the Brawny team is sort of questionable to say the least. PP, obviously with the Demon Hunter build. What is up with these Demon Hunter builds? I'm curious to see them, so many of them. Meanwhile, Ilyua is forcing hunters. In fact, he's not even forcing hunters. He's saving up money to force hunters. I'm not sure if that's the play. And in fact, he is facing new Tony, which is quite unfortunate as he's already sub 80. This will drop him to sub 70, which again, by round 11, that's, I wouldn't say awful. There have been worse. I have seen worse, but that's pretty bad. That is, he has to catch up somehow. Obviously, he is a Lord player, so he knows what he's doing. But we will see how he compensates for that. Meanwhile, Tony is on fire, undefeated. But of course, being undefeated has its downsides. Koka shows up again, so maybe a Koka will be put on the board here. But again, there are downsides to having win every round. Once you lose, sometimes there's that mental clock in your head that just suddenly like ticks, and you're like, oh no, I have to do something. But obviously there are lords. Maybe they have different, they function differently. Maybe they're just like us, and they panic when they finally lose a round after being undefeated. Maybe he instinctually knows that he shouldn't be like overconfident, as you know, he could lose at any moment. But at the moment, he's looking very solid. Tony with a Knight Huntless build, completely uncontested. Nobody else is going for the same build. PP is going for that elusive strategy, pocketing those Demon Hunters. Bane actually steals a Dragonite from Tony, so he might be salty about that a little bit. Or maybe not. Maybe he's perfectly fine with it, as he's currently at 25 gold. And still winning, so it doesn't even matter. Abaddon is back on the table. He might pick that up. Obviously, not the scrappy unit, so that's a good selection. Meanwhile, we shall follow. We'll follow down to Ilyua again with only 1-star units on the board. I don't understand. I don't know why he's forcing knights here. It doesn't seem to be working. Maybe it works in lords. I don't know. He's forcing hunters here with no clear guarantee of getting it. Meanwhile, NRVN actually going against Tony, and Tony getting slaughtered here. The Kasky and the Beast buff doing some damage. Wave 4 hitting all 3 units, and Bat Rider is not gonna do enough damage to take out the the Venomancer and the Morphling. And that will be the first loss of Tony, but I'm sure he's not panicked. I'm sure he's been expecting a loss at any point. And our VN coming back swinging here from last game, last game he unfortunately had the pleasure of kind of having this sort of wonky build. He managed to make it work, managed to get 4th at least, but you'd rather have a solid build rather than picking up the scraps and seeing where you're going to be left as. Meanwhile, pre-round 15, we have 3 sub-60s. It's Martini, Ilyua, Human Sample. It's Martini is probably a surprising sub-60 for me, as I've seen him before in the top 4, so it's quite surprising to see him so low on the charts. Meanwhile, we'll be following Tony here as he goes against Bane. Bane getting that Kasky off. He does have a lot of 4-cost units, but 4-cost units for what? As Bane gets killed off by all of these knights. Way too tanky, way too much defensive abilities, and that will be a good win for Tony as Bane drops sub 60 from that fight against Tony, and that's terrifying. Meanwhile, Ilyua once again sub 50. already by round 15. This is not good. I don't understand why he's forcing this build. This is I will say this hunter strategy. It's not uncommon. Last meta, like this build he's doing is was a very prevalent build last meta. I will say it's not like it's a horrible build from like it's not like it's a horrible build always. You know, like I think the meta just doesn't like the meta does not like this greedy build like this. I'm not sure if he's trying to force the hunters or if he's confident he'll get the hunters. I don't think he got a 2-star hunter anyway to commit for this hard. I mean, usually people who get the 2 stars early are the ones to commit hard, but this is I will be honest, this is confusing. It really is confusing to me. I don't understand what the mindset here is. What is the plan? What is the damage output here? Right, so we'll look at the damage output here. Obviously, it's the Beastmaster, but that's less than 300,000 damage. If we want to compare damages here, so we'll look at New Tony, right? Second place. His highest DPS is 3,000. Second is 1,700. Meanwhile, again, Ilyua, less than that. And that was the neutral round, right? His damage is much more split up. I think it's much better to show you after this match. Maybe he'll win this one. I'm not sure. Again, he's a Lord player. I'm not. I'm a filthy big boss. So it's quite surprising for me to see that he's so committed to this build against everybody here who has a much more solid build than him, especially since he still has 1 stars by round 16. This is another pretty bad loss for him. And will he go lethal range from this? No, he's fine. He's gonna take 12 damage, but he's not lethal range. He is 10 HP from lethal round 16. He finally gets the Lycan he wants, though. So maybe that's a thing. He finally goes all in for the units. He gets a sniper, but again, as I said, this I don't see it. I don't see why anyone would hard commit for a build like this this early. But we will not be following him all the time. However, we'll be following NRVN. You know, I've denied him his time in the spotlight, considering that Ilyua's build just really surprised me as he hard stuck to it. But we will follow NRVN here as he goes against PP, who beat Ilyua. We will see if PP will also be able to beat the number 1 right now, NRVN. NRVN. Actually, wait. Is that Troll Warlord? Wait. That's Troll Warlord. He has a Troll Warlord. Round 16? 15? What? He managed to level up to 8, roll a Troll Warlord, and he has a very solid build. NRVN has probably the most solid build out of anyone right now. In fact, I don't think anyone can beat him as long as this Troll Warlord gets his hits off. And with the Primordial build, the Eidolon's Bash, the Lycan Wolf's Bash, this is so good for NRVN here. As again, he is a Troll Warlord. He is against Ilyua here. Ilyua cannot afford to fight the top guy at this point. And the top guy just destroying him right now. Toss into waveform, into all of these bashes, all of these units attacking at once, all of them mini bashing consistently. Yes, the bashes are not long, but the bashes are enough. They can stop attacks midway, and the Drow just drops last. But that's typical for a ranged unit. As well, again, Ilyua almost trumps the sub to lethal range, but this is amazing. NRBN gets a perfect storm essentially for his build, gets a Troll Warlord immediately, but there is always a cost, and that cost is having 1-star trolls. He has 3 1-star trolls. Never mind, he instantly gets a Witch Doctor. As I mentioned that, caster curse. I would say, as now he does have 2 out of the 4 trolls as 2-star, but of course, he. I'm guessing he's looking for a disruptor as well, right? To just get the arms and the legs of this powerhouse combo. I'm assuming he's not going for Medusa. I'm assuming he's not going for Enigma. So this should be solid. The Slark on the backline actually attacking the Troll Warlord, but the Troll Warlord has so much base damage that it doesn't even matter. Also, there's a 1-star Slark, so it doesn't do much damage anyway. Meanwhile, the Troll Warlord just going ham. There's nothing they can do about it. He hasn't taken any damage, really, considering the Warlock heals. That is tough, as he was against PP again with the Elusive build. Actually, quite surprising. Well, not quite surprising. He was building that, but what I meant to say was that it's quite interesting how well his Elusive build is doing. Meanwhile, Bane and Illiwa are now are closing in on lethal range. We will see how that will pan out for them. We will be following them, of course, after this round. But meanwhile, we'll just look at the other builds. For now, obviously, New Tony has dropped the troll buff Dreams and will go for the full Knight Heartless. Of course, a standard build that has lasted throughout the ages. The Knight build is always super solid. PP with the Elusive builds, with the nerf to the Elusive builds being unable to go to 9 Elusives, quite unfortunate. But that does also mean that Gyrocopter got nerfed because his ace is now pretty bad. Also, no one went Elusives, which means he gets it. He gets it uncontested, which is always nice. Grunt with a Hunter build. Personally, I don't find Hunter builds very solid anymore, but he is at 55 HP, so he is doing something right. He is part of the top 4 right now. Human Sample with a hybrid beast warlock build, the kind of build you'd see normally, but he is unfortunately unable to get those core essential units to better places. It's Martini with the Dark Warden build, with almost a full warlock build. Actually, just a similar hybrid build. Bane also with a similar hybrid build with an anti-mage. It's quite unusual. And NRVN will be going against Human Sample here. And we will see how his build goes against Human Samples, which is, again, the hybrid build usually, sort of what you see on Human Samples' build list is probably what you see most commonly. He does, unfortunately, NRVN also does have an Arc Warden, and you can see those bashes taking into effect. Those bashes, although rare, are effective at canceling out damage, and that will be the last of that. Human Sample will be taking so much, well, not so much damage, just a little tickle. That's 6 damage going the way of Human Sample, but the real talk of the town is Bane and Illiwa managing to sneak in wins, and actually Bane gets what NRVN got earlier, which is 2 ace units. Well, not 2, but he has Troll Warlord and Disruptor, which means he has 2 out of the 4 units that could 2 of the 4 units that could make this like Omega army build. Hello, thanks for the raid, Jordan. Thank you so much, by the way. That's a lot. Ravage gonna come out again for Grunt here. We will see how this will go out for Bane. Bane not looking so hot. He does not want to take any damage, because if he goes down to lethal range, it will not be good enough. The Doom gonna try and do as much damage as he can. If he can get a kill, it's not gonna be good enough, as Grunt will do so much damage to Bane here. He will drop to lethal range. Meanwhile, we will follow New Tony versus Illiwa. Will Illiwa beat New Tony? Unfortunately, the screen bug does not let me see the actual fight, but no, Illiwa is unable to beat New Tony, which is, again, 2nd place. NRVN actually loses to someone. I believe it was It's Martini. So it's going to be quite unusual. I mean, not quite unusual, but quite surprising. That's quite scary, and we're going to see how that will go for new NRVN in the future. knowing that someone did beat him. But this is the crunch time for Illua and Bane. Illua forcing this Brawny Hunter build again. Personally, I think that is that's not a good way to go, and unfortunately, Bane will be going against NRVN with his Troll Warlord maximum troll buff build. We will see which is more superior. 2 aces versus 1. Ravage connects on all of his frontline units, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough here. Troll Warlord, actually, no, it might be enough. Troll Warlord going to go down. That's most of his DPS gone. The Hex is not going to be good enough here as Arc Warden finally goes down, and all of the units are the summons that are left standing. And unfortunately, that is not going to be a solid enough for Mr. NRVN, and Bane will get that win. Meanwhile, Illua loses again. Unfortunately, I did not see who he was facing. I was too busy checking on what was happening on screen against Bane versus NRVN. But Bane gets a win on NRVN, the top dog, which is well, not surprising considering he has 2 out of 4 of the strongest ace combos. But still, that's an impressive win, and he's against PP. This is probably the most interesting to see if he wins this one or not, because he does have a tier 3 Terrorblade. Ravage on the back line, Ravage on the front line for frontline as well, but Terrorblade finally metamorphosized. Ravage again connects. The Terrorblade is doomed. Does that reduce his damage? It does. It does reduce his damage severely. Does the Troll Warlord do enough damage? He's focusing on the wrong target, but the Terrorblade is gonna die to the doom damage per second, and PP, after a solid start to that round, is unable to seal that off, and PP will take so much damage he is now 1 HP off of lethal range. Hey, enjoying the stream, but could we spend a bit more time ever so often looking at the scoreboard? My apologies. I will make sure to check the scoreboard more often. I usually check the scoreboard during these neutral rounds, as we can see here, and we will check the scoreboards now. We have currently the net worths for every player. Currently, NRVN and It's Martini sharing, well, not sharing, but roughly have the same net worth until NRVN spent his money on rerolls. But yeah, let's look at the builds for a moment. You, Tony, once again, as I mentioned, has the most classic build out of all of the builds on the board. The Heartless Knight strategy. It actually has hybrid Dragon Trolls. Obviously, Troll Warlord is very good considering the ace buffs. Yeah, this is quite interesting to see. NRVN, meanwhile, has the Troll Warlord buff, of course, probably looking for a disruptor to get that ace as well. And I think the key people to look out for here is It's Martini and Bane, because It's Martini has probably the strongest combo without the Troll buff nor the Medusa. Right, the Enigma and Disruptor. And now to explain why this is probably the strongest combo out of the 4, which are, well, the quadruple, like the quadra essentially. The reason why these two work so well is that Enigma's ace buffs Static Storm. Static Storm becomes a perfect storm, no pun intended. It completely removes all mana gain. It makes it so that Hex units don't do anything, and unfortunately he's going to be going against Bane. Will Bane be able to hold on long enough just so he can find more units? Disruptor Static Storm actually doesn't get pulled off, so it doesn't even matter. Doom comes out on the Enigma before he gets ult. Static Storm for Bane, Ravage for Bane, Necrophos gets that heal off. Boat, it's not going to be good enough. Troll Warlord in the backline doing so much damage, another Doom comes out. The target that dies, but wait, the turnaround. Bane is not. Does he do enough damage? The Plague Ward is doing so much damage, but the Hex gonna go out on the Troll Warlord. The Troll Warlord, will he do enough damage? No, the Requiem gonna heal up the Arc Warden. He's trying to do his best. He's gonna do so much damage. The Necrophos keeping him alive, but the DPS from the Plague Wards and the Venomancer is not gonna be enough for Bane, as the Warlock heals just clutches the win for It's Martini for that fight. What a disaster. I mean, wow, what a play. And unfortunately, while all of that was happening, Illua goes out last place. And again, As I believe I mentioned earlier, I don't understand what Ilua. I don't. Sorry. I don't understand what Ilua was trying to force a hunter strategy, especially a old hunter strategy in the old meta. Maybe it's working for him. Like we will follow Bane. Actually, I'll shut my mouth as he is going against NRVN here. One of the top dogs. Well, at least one of the top dogs, at least. Ravage gonna come out here. NRVN does have a 2-star. He has 2 Troll Warlords and two. Oh, no, sorry, he's 1 Troll Warlord. Sound's gonna come out, but the Doom's already flied out. The Necrophos actually gets doomed for Bane here, but that's most of his heal. Will Bane do any? Will do enough damage? No. Bane is unfortunately going to be eliminated here by NRVN, and he will be going out in 7th place. Meanwhile, It's Martini loses to New Tony, and Human Sample loses to Grunt. PP actually defeats Bane, so Bane died twice, unfortunately. And he is unable to reach his pinnacle with all of those aces. But now is the real talk. The real talk is It's Martini. It's Martini also has this duopoly, this powerful duopoly, right? This stun, the Ravage obviously is weaker, but this Enigma plus Disruptor combo, I would say is very solid. He will be against Grunt here, who has Disruptor as well. He has Troll Warlord as well, actually. So we will see a double aces versus double aces. Ravage gonna come out first for Grunt. Ravage comes out for It's Martini, but it's only 1 star. And the Silence again gonna come out for for Grunt. Disruptor doing so much work there, and look at this unit force just wiping through the board for Grunt, and Grunt's gonna definitely drop down to lethal here. Sorry, It's Martini's gonna drop down to lethal here, definitely, as his board just got wiped out. The chain stuns was overwhelming, and there's unbelievable there was unbelievable power behind Grunt's force, especially since we're finally going to see those aces come out. Meanwhile, NRVN, of course, also has an ace, probably looking for Medusa. But you can never be too careful. Maybe he isn't looking for Medusa. Maybe he wants his current lineup. Maybe he just wants to upgrade the Troll Warlord. We don't know. Right now, we are looking at It's Martini, Human Sample, at PP to see who will be the part of the top 4, or maybe the part of the top 3 here, as all 3 of them actually facing an opponent with higher HP. So this will be the deciding factor. We will see a top 3, a top 4, or a top 5 here at least, maybe, or maybe a top 6 as everybody loses. Meanwhile, during this match right now, we're looking at New Tony actually gets obliterated with that Static Storm on top of Midnight Pulse on Knights, completely locking down any healing, any damage reduction, as Midnight Pulse goes through that, just breaks through the barriers and completely clears out New Tony's build. And as foretold, all 6 players still stand. All 6 players are still in this game. They refuse to die, as It's Martini, Human Sample, and PP actually beat all of their opposing players. And now Grunt is in lethal range, and our VN is 10 HP away from lethal range, and New Tony is 15 HP from lethal range, which is quite outstanding. Well played by these bottom 3. It's Martini, of course, I've seen him before play. He's a solid player, so I wouldn't say no surprise, but I am honestly pretty damn surprised he hasn't gone out yet. Human Sample, well played, also has the double Arc Wardens, keeping him alive, staying solid. PP as well, with his elusive build, starting to become much more relevant as the game goes on. Meanwhile, New Tony's Knight strategy completely countered by all these Enigmas coming out on the board. Actually, unfortunately, there's only 2 Enigmas. Maybe he just got an unlucky matchup. NRVN, with the double aces, of course, maybe looking for a hat trick or maybe a quadra. We are watching to see if we can find anything here. Oh, well, he's watching to see if he can find anything. In Grunt again, also doing the same thing. Everybody in this game at the moment, except for PP, is looking for those aces to just round out their teams. But of course, if you guys, I'm assuming you guys should know, the problem with that is that there's only 15 aces in the pool for each respective alliance. And speaking of alliances, we're gonna be seeing a fight right here. Disruptor gonna land his ulti. Troll Warlord bashes gonna be super helpful here, especially with an Arc Warden in the back. Enigma actually gets his pop his ult off on top of the Troll, but he doesn't care. The Necrophall's keeping him healthy. The Necrophall's healing him so well. The Arc Warden on the left-hand side, as well as the Doom, actually clearing up the left-hand side, meanwhile the right-hand side for NRVN actually gonna defeat It's Martini, and It's Martini has no response, and his team is just unfortunately not as strong as NRVN's, who was top. Meanwhile, Grunt is defeated by PP, I believe. No, PP, I believe. No, sorry. PP lost to New Tony. Human Sample beats Grunt. And meanwhile, Human Sample, with his build here, with, I believe his objective is just Infinity Stun? I think it is, actually, yeah. So essentially, Human Sample's build to see into the late game is just this brutal, this brutal chain stun, so that nothing, no meta gain has happened. But it is against PP here, who has 4 3-star units. This might be terrifying. This might be over for Human Sample here if he doesn't eliminate these 3 stars. Burrow Strike connects, but only on 1 unit. PA in the backline, Terrorblade on the backline, killing all of the DPS units. Only tanks survive for Human Sample, and that might be him gone. Yes, it will. That is 3, 9, 12, and I believe TA plus damage, just 18 damage, as PP makes it to the top 3 with his elusive build. I doubted him in the early game. I was like, elusive builds, they've been nerfed. Demon Hunters, they've been nerfed. I don't see that usually anymore, but wow. PP makes it to the top 3 with his elusive Demon Hunter build. Getting those units to 3 stars was key to his success, it seems, as right now, he's just destroying everybody in his path. Meanwhile, NRVN and Tony, the top 2 dogs at the start of this match, are also the top 2 dogs of this final 3. But they have to watch out PP with his devastating 3-star combinations. Terrorblade actually gets instantly ulted. The Doom's the wrong target. Actually hits Tidehunter, who doesn't matter because the Terrorblade is killing everybody in the back. PA is also killing everybody in the back. Ravage gonna connect on all of his units, but it doesn't matter because everything is dead. All of the damage for NRVN is dead. NRVN is gonna take so much damage here from PP with his 3-star lineup. 18 damage in the face. PP also defeats NRVN. New Tony straight to the face. PP actually dropping everybody low to his level. He says, "This is my throne. I am not going down. You try to take me out, I will take both of you out to the trash. You are all going down." And my god, what a strategy it is, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. The elusive strategy. In my opinion, I thought the strategy was dead. I will be honest, I thought the strategy was not as strong as it used to be, but PP is proving me wrong time and time again here. New Tony, actually, remember, New Tony did lose to this composition, but was that a fluke? Maybe because of different positioning? The Dragon Breath gonna go on the Terrorblade. Terrorblade's actually gonna get low. Terrorblade, he can't stay alive. He actually attacks the unit with the hell of the Dominator. Double Ravage not enough, and oh my god, all New Tony needed was a different formation, and PP stood no chance. PP got eliminated instantly by New Tony. New Tony having that extra HP really changes the match there. And I'm sure you guys noticed that too, right? Because if PP had, or rather if NRVN or New Tony didn't have that extra HP, for sure, PP would have had this win. They both got defeated by him. But then they said, you know what? We're going to change our formation just to deal with this guy. And when they did, he stood no chance. He genuinely stood no chance anymore. And that's quite terrifying to think about. That was quite the clinic. Quite the clinic in the standpoint in which, PP, he almost got up there. But again, the superior builds, superior formation, just superior HP in general actually helped them out super hard during that matchup, and I'm quite impressed. Well played by PP for making it this far, but unfortunately the stronger formations, the stronger builds are in contention here, and of course it is NRVN versus New Tony. This will be something this will be something to take note about, ladies and gentlemen, because this will be a battle for the ages. One loss is not enough. This next round could be our last round, and I don't say that lightly, as it is very high chance here, as we will see Knight versus Warlocks, Bashes, and Shamans. We will see Viper actually gets in the back line. Hook gonna come out. Doom doesn't get his Doom off first. Hook actually comes out on the Necrophos, who has the Braces of Restoration, deals a triple Death Pulse. But will that triple Death Pulse be enough? The Troll Warlord, the Disruption Silence doesn't get anything off for Newtoni, he does enough damage. Newtoni manages to deal enough damage to maybe stay alive here. Or is that exactly 8 damage? It is exactly 7 damage, and Newtoni stays alive with 1 HP. Will that 1 HP be enough? Will he have enough time? Will that borrowed time be enough to just recalculate his position, recalculate his formation, or maybe find the key unit that he's been searching for? He picks up Lich, he sells Lich, he realizes he doesn't need Lich. He's looking for a stronger Necrophos here, maybe a stronger Enigma, just something that's stronger here. He's not finding anything. He finds nothing with all of his money. He might just go all in to find something, but no, he's gonna change formations here. He's understanding, right, I have to win this with just formation play. But will that formation play be enough? Will Newtoni be able to clear this out, clean this match out, or will NRVN manage to pull this out? NRVN actually doing a lot of damage here. NRVN gets the silence off, and Newtoni trying his best to clear this out. NRVN, Newtoni, his Luna is alive. It's a troll. Oh, I'm sorry. I literally lost my words. Oh my lord. Luna at 3 HP versus Enigma Eidolon. They traded both a hit and drew. Oh my lord. What a crazy fight we have here, ladies and gentlemen. Newtoni not giving out without a fight. NRBN with a devastating trifecta of aces. Will the Night Strat prevail? He was so close. Will this new formation matter? Viper gonna come for the backline. Silence actually gonna go on the Viper. What a waste of Disruptor ulti. The Abaddon not gonna get his ult off. The Bone gonna connect, but it's not gonna be good enough because Luna gets hooked out. The Luna gets eliminated. The Warlord for the opposing Newtoni actually doing so much damage. Will NRVN be able to deal enough damage to not die here? Oh my god! Newtoni gets a win off with his Knight build as Luna gets hooked out of the boat, managing to deal enough damage. Disruptor ult goes on the single Viper, and they're both at 1 HP. Ladies and gentlemen, this is ridiculous. Both players are at 1 HP. They're on a knife's edge, and the only way this match goes further to the final round is a goddamn draw, ladies and gentlemen. Unless they draw this match, we will not see the Year Beast. We will not see the Year Beast, which would be desperately needed for both these players who are desperately fighting for number 1 spot here. Number 1 spot and number 2 spot are two very different things, and I don't think either of these players want the silver lining. They want that gold, baby. They want that gold medal around their neck, and it's gonna be another fight here. Hex goes immediately on the Viper. The Silence gonna connect this time on all of them. Ravage gonna connect on 2 units. Silence gonna wear off. Doom on the Luna, which is the biggest part here. The Bolt gonna connect, but will it be enough? Yes, it will be enough. The Midnight Pulse on so many units. Will Troll World be able to sustain this? No, the Dragon Knight goes down. Both Dragon Knights go down. Necrophos not gonna do enough healing. Troll Warlord cannot stand it, and an RVN will eliminate Newtoni with that perfect Disruptor ulti. The Viper gets insta-hexed as he flies in and is unable to pull out that Disruptor ult once again. And ladies and gentlemen, your victor is NRVN. Wow, what a game. What a game it was indeed. I will pull up NRVN's team, and we will talk about that in a second as I pull it up. But wow, that was absolutely crazy. I did not expect to cast a game that crazy. Wow. What a game. I did not expect again. I did not expect to see a match that crazy. Wow. I wish I could yell. I wish I could have yelled during that game, but it's 3 a.m. Uh, it took all of the fibers in my being to not yell during that cast, because that was hell of a hype. That was hella hype, ladies and gentlemen. That is the only way I could describe it. That was hella hype, hella clutch. This is the. Give me a second. Oops. So this is the team that won that match. But if I'm being honest, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like both of them are winners today. Cause what a game they just showed us. What a game. What wow. What a close. What a close game. And I don't even get an opportunity to take a breather because we're already going into round two. Wait, what? Wow. Oh, I need to get a breather. Jesus. Actually, because I don't have time, I will just get a cup of water. Oh, what a game. That's all I can say. What a game. Uh, so if anybody is in the chat, anyone wants to highlight that game or have any feelings about that game, please do share because I am exhausted. 1 minute. Okay, there will be a short break. So while that short break is going, I'll take a breather, and you guys can listen to Skillet, because Skillet is awesome. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Game 2 of the semifinals for Dota on the Lords Championship number 4. Semifinals. Yeah, semifinals. Game 2. I am BlueSapphire, and last game we had one hell of a head-to-head 1v1. It was quite crazy. There was a Luna versus Eidolon draw, where they both got a hit off and ended in a draw by round 38. And by round 39, well, they were both one round away from making it to a grace time, possibly a game-changing item. But unfortunately, that was not the case, and we will be moving on to this game with NRVN the victor of last game, and New Tony being it is an understatement to say a hair's length. I would say a molecule's length or something like that. He was he was about as close as you can get to first place. I will say that, especially with a night strat. But unfortunately, Enigma, DPS plus Disruptor Silence preventing any spells to be cast was just way too much. And right now we're following Human Sample here. But I think what we should do is let's just check out the stats at the moment. And as we can see here, looks like a few builds are forming right now. Obviously, people will want to have an early game build set up so they can transition into a late game, or maybe an early game strategy set up so that they can build into it later on in the future. Now, the thing I want to see is that actually we'll follow at the moment we'll follow NRVN because he was the victor of last match, and it looks like he will be going for like a pseudo night strat, maybe. Again, it's too early to say, but he did get a case that early. And yeah, we'll see where that takes him. Meanwhile, it's Martini going for the bloodbound cheese a little bit. New Tony with 3 assassins. Gorant with the beast warrior. Human Sample with the primordial mages. It looks like I'm assuming he's gonna try and level up here. Unfortunately, he does not have the economy to level up, so that puck will be benched for for at least next round at least. PP still currently a beast strategy, and Bane actually gets 2 mechs by round 3. Now that's scrappy. And now you have to be careful. Especially if you get something like this, because scrappies, I mean rather any build, right? If you get it early, sometimes the game just says no. I was kidding. I gave you 2 freebies, but no more. And that can happen. So he has to be wary, and he has to be ready to switch out if he's not finding any scrappies. Because of course, if he is unable to, he just switches out. Illua has a Bloodbound contract, which means an Arc Warden will be extremely effective. But it looks like NRVN will lose here. And yeah. Unfortunately, Human Sample also loses by 1 HP. And this time, round 4 doesn't look that awful. I mean, Illua, yes, has lost 4 HP. But we will see how he will recover for that. As, it's still early in the game. 4 HP damages. It's whatever. Let's go to... was it Bane? Yes. So we'll follow Bane here. See what strategy he tries to build up here. He does put down the Chaos Knight. Of course, Chaos Knight does some hefty damage early. So that's understandable. He picked up a level as well just to put him down. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bane committed onto this mech build if he gets maybe another Timber Saw, maybe a Tinker. I mean, getting a Tinker here would just be gold, essentially. And then after that, he just need a Bounty Hunter or just another scrappy in general, like Sniper, essentially. So New Tony getting some solid hits here, as he is against against the Bane with the scrappy build. It is he is unable to just get that win as the explosion actually kills off quite a lot of his units. So that's unfortunate, but fortunate for Bane, who again has a very good, solid, scrappy build. He puts another knight down. He sacks Tiny. Of course, that's understandable. He has the option to pick up Morphling. He can commit for Morphling. He will lose 2 gold permanently if he wants to sell them. He actually sells both his knights, picks up the Lycan, puts down the Lycan, sells the Lycan, puts down the... Oh, sorry, the Lycan's on the board. Slark is also on the board now. And it looks like he has transitioned from thinking about knights to a much stronger composition, cost-wise, as technically speaking, the cost of the units should outweigh other 2-star unit types. Tiny tosses Clockwork to his opposing Dead Luna. However, Slark jumps out of the way, and that will be a win for Bane. But yeah, let's look at the standings. It looks like It's Martini and Bane are the only 2 left standing here. We'll check their compositions here. It looks like It's Martini has his Bloodbound build. He did get a PA. That is one interesting build. I'm not sure where that team is going. I mean, that's the first I've ever seen that build before. So, that was quite interesting where that was going. But, he's the dude with 100 HP. So, what am I to talk? Bane, unfortunately, on the opposite side of that streak, because it looks like It's Martini has his gold. Meanwhile, they'll say Bane is sort of riding on that win streak. Unfortunately, I'm sure he knows, but if he does lose, that win streak his win streak money will suddenly look really awful. So he must do his best here to not lose a round, or at least compensate something here. But no, he does not. He is unable to compensate, and he will be punished for that greedy build. Meanwhile, It's Martini actually buys out quite a couple of units, and that's an array of units on his board. And he will collect some economy. He does have the option to 2-star the knight, 2-star the Tiny, and he will do so. Ilua, once again, sub 90 by round 8. I'm not quite sure what's going on with him. He does actually have a Bloodbound build. I'm quite surprised his Bloodbound build is not working very well. I think the Luna should be closer here. Like, just close enough so that the Luna can do some damage early. But again, he has won a round. No, he has not won a single round. But luckily, this will be the round he will win against PP here, who has a full warrior lineup. So unable to. Oh, he has a Morphling, but it's not enough. And yeah, so he does get that win, a solid win. Of course, warriors are unable to touch Bloodbound and Luna as they just glaive through all of the warriors. It's Martini once again with that solid win streak, putting all of his units down on the board just so he can think about his options here. He sells quite a lot of them, as he has decided, I believe. I'm assuming he does intend to level up here to level 6 to get that sweet opportunity at some tier 4s by round 10. But that is completely up to him. He is, again, of course, against New Tony, who's actually managed to get that full scrappy build, and as I was saying, gets that taker off on the board. But maybe having a Clockwork there would have been also nice. But no, the toss actually going to connect on the Bounty Hunter. Their assassin build not going to be enough here. New Tony trying to it's Martini. Wait. I'm confused. Where am I looking at? I apologize, guys. I got lost there. Okay, so sorry. New Tony is the scrappy build. I got completely lost there. Sorry. So It's Martini does lose his first HP, literally his first HP, to New Tony, who has went a full scrappy build. I'm not sure where his Clockwork went though. Oh no, it was Bane with the Clockwork, and New Tony is fortunate enough to also get the same options for strategy, and it looks like Bane might have to swerve off, or maybe they'll both refuse to swerve off, and we will see who crashes into the wall first. Of course, it looks like It's Martini is gonna have to win this round actually, just so he gets an opportunity at a Bloodbound contract, because I believe that's what he desperately needs, or is at least desperately looking for. Of course, he could just sell his Bloodbound units eventually, but it would be nice if he could get a Bloodbound unit. He is unfortunately unable to get a Bloodbound unit, or he hasn't chosen yet. No, he is unfortunately unable to get a Bloodbound unit. And it looks like he will be trying to hunt here. He does get a couple of options for 1-star units, like the Tusk and such, but it looks like he will not be picking it up. In fact, nobody went for the gamble on the level 6. Actually, no, sorry, Bane and Grunt all did it, but neither of them actually profited from that. Bane did get a 2-star Slark, but I wouldn't say that's very beneficial here. Meanwhile, Grunt is actually going to be facing off against It's Martini. We will see if It's Martini actually deals with his army, but no, he will not, as the Hunters actually clear off the board pretty well. The Ogre manages to kill off the Beastmaster before he goes down, which reduces the damage by 2, but that's still quite a hefty amount of damage. And this Martini drops lower than the top, which means that Bane and Utoni are now suddenly the top 2. Utoni, of course, with the scrappy build on the board, and the Deadeye. In fact, his entire build has all of its alliances matched up, except for assassins and humans. So essentially, yeah, I mean, pretty close to most of his alliances matched up. Bane has a scrappy lineup, and he will actually be going against the Grunt here, but luckily, because of that Deadeye, the lowest HP unit will be focused down, which is the Juggernaut. Juggernaut immediately goes down, rockets go down. Ground Ranger also gets eliminated immediately. The Deadeye actually doing some helpful work here, but the Bloodseeker finally dies. Lycan also goes down. Assassinate gonna come out on the Tusk, and the Tusk is the perfect assassination target. As the Slardar, nope, the Slardar is way too tanky, and the minus armor actually reduces the sniper to dust, and that is gonna be a loss for Bane. Was I following Bane? No, I was following Utoni, and now Bane is number 1 with his superior mech build, I guess, at this point in time. He unfortunately does not get the option for more mechs. Grunt, meanwhile, with his hunter strategy, actually working very solidly. I'm impressed. Again, I was one of those people who did not like the hunter builds in this meta, or maybe I'm just not I'm just not figuring out how to function them correctly. And speaking of which, Bane will be going against Grunt here, who again is the second place with the hunter strategy, and the hunters look like they're doing some clinical work here, but the Slark actually clearing out so many units. The Slark finally goes down, but the wave form eliminates the Draw Ranger and the Slardar, and the Beastmaster gets a kill before he pops to the Tinker. Meanwhile, NRVN, it takes severe damage against Illawa, and we have 2 players, sub 80. Again, very typical for this point. There should be some people sub 80, sorry, but sub 70 PP. That is concerning. It looks like PP's build is a Primordial Dragon sort of thingy. I think he's looking for a 3rd mage on the board. So, I mean, he could just put the Crystal Maiden and replace Tusk, but I don't understand why he's not actually doing that now, as that would give him magic buff. But we'll go back to this match, which is Utoni versus Bane, which is essentially a mirror matchup here, as they both have scrappy Deadeye mechs, and we will see how this will turn out. Deadeye actually functioning very well for Bane here. It's Utoni is unable to secure that, as Slark actually cleans up much faster than Bounty Hunter, Bloodseeker, and what was the third one? Uh, Bloodseeker. Oh, he did also have a Slark. However, it was only 1 star, and that's probably why it didn't do enough damage. But yeah, both Trappy strats are at number 1 right now. I'm surprised nobody has gone Warlocks yet. New Tony actually picks up the Alchemist, which is pretty terrifying to say the least. I'm quite surprised he hasn't switched out one of the like Sniper yet. I mean, Sniper would be a good replacement, I would say, for Alchemist. But looks like we'll look at the economy right now. Looks like It's Martini is currently leading by about 11 gold. Yeah, 11 gold, and we'll look at the builds. We have It's Martini with the Warrior Beast builds, probably looking for some Warlocks to mix into that. Grunt with the Hunter builds, of course looking for the crowd control just to secure that, maybe possibly into a Brawny transition, and RVN with the Knight strat, and also Ilwa with the Knight strat, except he has 2 Bloodbound contracts and 2 different Lunas. Now that's powerful. That is pretty scary. And we will see how it goes for him. Human Sample with the Mage Primordial strat, and PP with also the same Mage Primordial strat, except unfortunately he does not have the same luxury as a tier 2 Crystal Maiden, or 2-star Crystal Maiden. It looks like PP will be gone against Bane here. We will see how that will go as Bane. Again, Bane is still number 1 on the board, and the Slark actually... Oh, the dummy gets tossed over to Slark, but Slark is perfectly fine here. Missiles get launched. Slark trying his best here to clear out all the wins, but Eidolon trying to deal so much damage. Scream of Pain actually connects. The Shuriken tries to kill off the Quap, but it's not good enough as the Quap manages to stay alive, as the Shuriken toss is unable to kill her off. But, that's just a little damage. Bane is willing to take that as, well, again, he's still number 1, and his build is pretty solid. Of course, New Tony has the Alchemist. Where did this Alchemist go? Did he sell Alchemist? Is he not playing? He's not... Oh, I don't know why he sold Alchemist, actually. I'm quite surprised. Oh, was Bane the one with the Alchemist, or did he just roll that? I think he just rolled that Alchemist. I mean, we will see later on. I think he just sold that. Anyways, we will go into this one with Bane versus NRVN here. Slark gonna try and do some damage here, but he will get popped very quickly as he has no regenerative abilities. Warlock buff is not active, so the Acid Spray only does damage here. A Morphling does actually quite a lot with that buff on him, but the Luna gonna try and 1v2 here. Will the Glaives bounce? No, they literally will not bounce, and the Luna gonna try to do some damage here, but the missile's just gonna connect, kill off whatever NRVN had left, and that will be a win for Bane. Again, still number 1, and is 1 Scrappy away from a perfect Scrappy buff. Of course, I'm assuming he is looking for the Sniper. He gets another Bounty Hunter. I'm assuming he's hoping for a techies one day just to sell off the Bounty Hunter, or if he cannot sell the Bounty Hunter, just pick up if he can't find a Sniper, of course he has to kind of keep the Bounty Hunter, and then maybe he could just 6 Scrappy, 3 Assassin. He will be against Illiwa here. We will see how this goes. Illiwa actually, again, going for he actually has a double Bloodbound contracted Lunas here. We'll see if both these Lunas do damage, and they do. They actually do so much damage here. The Glaives bouncing like there's no tomorrow. The Rockets do nothing, as Illiwa just cleans up the house with no casualties. Actually, sorry, 1 casualty. But that 1 casualty really doesn't matter, as it was only a Bloodbound unit for the 2 Lunas, which just cleaned house. Alright, we will see We will see what Bane wants to do here, as of course, as you guys can see, New Tony is two timber saws away from a tier 3 timber saw. Meanwhile, he's still looking for a tier 2 clockwork, and he's nowhere near a tier 3 timber saw himself. Waveform connects on one unit. Doom gonna come out on the clockwork, meaning it will not explode, but that is the least of his problems, as he hasn't killed anybody for Grunt. But Doom remains standing, but again, he is unable to actually to close that out. He did not do enough damage. The Tinker's missiles, of course, at the end there did quite some heavy damage, but unfortunately not enough to secure that win. Bear Trap is of the essence, so we will again look at the scoreboard here. So we will recap. We have NRVN with the highest net worth with the Warlock Knight builds. It looks like he will be hybriding. I'm actually very much liking that decision to hybrid for NRVN. Grunt does have Arc Warden with the Maelstrom. Draw Ranger in the mix as well, probably temporary, and we'll switch out. Bane, of course, with that 6 scrappy build. We will see if he still wants to keep that, as he's not. I think he really needs a Warlock buff, but again, that's just me. Maybe he needs something else. Maybe he doesn't need anything entirely. But he will be losing this round, and that will not be good, as he's not really looking for anything. Alright, PP with a Primordial Mage build, Ilua with the Knight Bloodbound Heartless build, or not Heartless, well, just Bloodbound build. It's Martini with the Beast Warlock Warrior Hybrid, New Tony with a similar build to Bane's, except just weaker in most aspects, and Human Sample with the Mage Primordial just not working out for him at the moment, as he goes sub 40 round 20. He is, I believe, 17 HP away from lethal. Theoretical lethal, at least. Of course, if he does drop to dangerous numbers, we will go down and watch if he can stay alive or not. It's Martini will be the opponent for Bane here. We will see if the assassins of Bane will do enough damage to kill off the backline. No, it will not actually. The Necrophos stays alive long enough for the heal to come off, and all of the units for It's Martini still staying alive. Root gonna come out when the Timbersaw is gonna explode. The Arc Ward is actually in the backline doing enough damage. The Clockwork not gonna do enough damage to pop the units, and the Primordial units it's not enough as the Root comes out, and the Eidolons are nothing but dead meat, as Bane will suffer a loss here. Meanwhile, New Tony also suffers a loss, and Human Sample did take a loss, and he is now 1 HP from theoretical lethal. I mean, it wouldn't be pretty if he also lost. It wouldn't be pretty if he also lost if he lost overwhelmingly and just lost right here. I mean, that would be a shame. That would absolutely be a shame. Of course, you don't want to go out at round 22. You want to stay longer in this game, but he will be against New Tony. We'll see if his strategy has some newfound life into it. Arc Warden on the right hand side, trying his best to do some damage, but it's not going to cut it. The Clockwork actually just distracting all of the forces of Human Sample. Human Sample unable to deal with that. Actually, all of the units that deal damage for New Tony are dead. So this Bloodbounded Ogre will be enough. Crystal Maiden will do enough damage with the Eidolon, and Human Sample actually gets that win, as I believe the 2 Morphlings eliminate the backline, which does the DPS for Mr. For New Tony. So, New Tony loses his DPS, and therefore there goes a solid win for Human Sample. Of course, Human Sample is still not out of the rut. He's still looking for is still looking for those super strong units. He is now one quap and one morphling away from 2 3-star units. That is pretty painful as he is against Bane here. Again, what he cannot afford is an overwhelming wipeout against Bane. He has to at least deal some damage so that it softens the blow, and he will. Actually, in fact, he might just win this with the primordial units and the zombies doing so much damage here, or in fact just distracting them long enough for the real damage dealers of Human Sample to clear that out. And Bane will be taking so much damage here. And what's so devastating is that Bane has a Lich, but it doesn't feel like that Lich is doing much. I mean, Bane, with his Scrappy, is transitioning into mages, but Bane from the former top of this leaderboard is now currently at fourth and losing pretty heavily. It's quite concerning how he wants to come back into this. But our current focus is Human Sample here, who will be going against NRVN, who is a Knight Heartless strat. We will see if he can manage to clear this out. Maybe like just deal with this strategy from NRVN. NRVN actually loses all of his units from that one waveform as the Knights were not clumped up. And so the last 2 units just get eliminated by the rest of Human Sample's forces. And Human Sample drops NRVN to 2 HP from theoretical lethal. And my god, Human Sample clutching every round here, staying alive with just 23 HP, still hunting for that Morphling, still hunting for that Quap. It is neutral round. He could just sell that puck for the extra gold, but of course that would just be fool's gold, as that would not be a smart idea. Take a look at all the builds. Most of the stuff has not changed. It looks like everyone's still doing their own thing. Human Sample, of course, his build finally coming online. PP's build, similar build, still all has been online. Yes, Martini climbs to the top actually with his Beast Warlock buff. Well played. But in theory, it's pretty darn close. Because Grunt still has that. Arc Ward and 2 Slaughters and the Tidehunter scaled buff, preventing both mage teams to deal as much damage as they want to, and all they have to do is essentially rather the mage strats no longer deal as much damage as they want to. Right? It looks like Illua will be his opponent, the full Knight strat here with a Troll Warlord. This will be quite intense here. Will will Human Sample be able to deal with this? Actually, he's splitting up all of the units. There's a 3-star Luna with a Bloodbound contract, though. He has to be careful here. The Coil is gonna try and do some damage to zombies. Actually, gonna help him out a little bit. The Arc Wardens, no, there's no more Maelstrom procs, and that will be it. That will be so much damage to Human Sample. Human Sample will drop to theoretical lethal, and that will be something he has to be careful of. New Tony drops to 6 HP. With Aegis, however, so he will have that second chance, and that's why he has not spent any of his money yet. Meanwhile, NRVN, again, getting that good solid win against Human Sample, but he will have to still win against the top dogs, which have much more solid builds, it seems. Like, for instance, it's Martini actually winning super hard. But again, we'll still follow Human Sample, as again, Tony is guaranteed to have a second life if he loses, and he is against It's Martini. This is not the ideal plan. This is probably the worst case scenario for Human Sample here. He has to beat the top dog. It's Martini with a Warlock build. The Bear is already out. The Tusk in the back line actually dealing with all the assassins. All the assassins are already dead. The Mage strat, Mage buff, the Mage damage is not good enough as the Arc Warden is actually doomed in the back. The Tombstone not doing enough damage. The Tombstone actually gets rooted as it gets popped and eliminated by its Martini, and that will be it for Human Sample as he goes out last place, unfortunately. But he tried to claw his way back, but he was unable to. Meanwhile, Newtoni actually takes just enough little enough damage that he stays in the game and keeps his Aegis, which is very nice. Now, I believe there was an ace on this board. Yes, Ilua already has an ace on the board, aka the Troll Warlord, which is quite spooky, to say the least. And it will be quite interesting to see if he wants any other aces on the board. Meanwhile, it looks like Grunt will be facing Newtoni here. Again, Newtoni still has a second life, but it's never hurt to see if he can still win a few rounds here with his scrappy lineup. Grunt, of course, with a double Arc Warden, the both gonna connect on the Sniper. The Sniper does eliminate the Doom before anything else happens, and the Titanitor is the only one standing, and that will be a free, not a free win, but a pretty good win for Newtoni here as Grunt gets eliminated. Or sorry, not eliminated. Sorry, Grunt takes quite a bit of damage with his Arc Warden build. Meanwhile, it looks like NRVN also won his match with the Knight strat. Actually, he transitions out of the Knight build into this pseudo Mage build, which I'm kind of liking because, of course, there's no point of forcing his build, so he transitions into a hybrid. Meanwhile, Ilua with a full Knight build have already accomplished it, so it's okay to hybrid. He will be going against Newtoni here at 1 HP. Again, still with Aegis. We will see if this time is any different as the last time NRVN faced NRVN, and it is definitely different here. As actually, no, maybe it's not. NRVN doing so much here. Newtoni, he's so close. Newtoni, he's gonna get eliminated as the Timbersaw is way too tanky. Thanks for the follow. I did not see the name, but I heard the follow. Thank you so much. But yeah, wow. What what an unfortunate circumstance for NRVN there, as he was so close to eliminating Newtoni, but he is unable to. I'm sorry, guys. Let me just drink some water here. As we enter a neutral round. Again, we have a few 3-stars on the board. We have 2 3-star Timbersaws, 1 3-star Bounty Hunter, a 3-star Luna with a Bloodbound contract, which is pretty scary. But all in all, the board is kind of even if you don't consider Newtoni and NRVN. Newtoni still does have Aegis, so I guess even if Newtoni lost there, he would have still had a second life. Meanwhile, Bane has transitioned out of just this regular scrappy build, and he actually has 2 aces. He has the Enigma and the Gyrocopter, which they don't really come well together, and he recognizes that and will bench the Gyrocopter, which is, I think, the smart choice there, as again Gyrocopter with the recent nerf to tier 5 and his ace buff being really bad considering everybody else's ace buff, it's understandable that he does put tankies down instead of that gyro. He even sells the Gyrocopter. But I will be following NRVN, as now NRVN is closing in on lethal, and he does not have Aegis. We will see if he manages to pull off another win here with the hybrid Knight Mage build. Because hybrid Knight Mages, of course, are not bad at all, but is it good enough is the question here, as he is against Ilua, the perfect Knight build. Will he be able to eliminate the other Knight build? And clear out the palette to get more knights on his team, or will or will NRVN, yes, NRVN will stay in the game as Illua is unable to clear out that mage build, as the full blast actually eliminates a lot of his units quickly, and Illua actually drops to lethal range by NRVN, and both Night Strats are now threatened with losing. Utoni finally loses to It's Martini and loses his Aegis, and that will be something to watch out for. Meanwhile, PP also losing HP and dropping down to lethal range. That's good. It looks like there are 4 players in lethal range. However, there's seven players left, which means if a ghost, the only way there will be 3 players left after this is if a ghost kills off another player. Which, of course, 19 HP if the matches are close is still pretty solid. We'll be following. I mean, there's so many games to follow here, but I think NRVN has much more at stake here, as he did win the previous round. We will see if he manages to clutch out this round against Bane, who has a scrappy lineup with an Enigma, with the Arc Warden. He does have a Tombstone though that will help. Disruptor on his side as well. The silence on all of those units. Those units are unable to do anything, and look at that wipeout as Bane is unable to touch his team, and Bane is gonna drop down to lethal range. Definitely there. The Night Strat way too tanky for his mechs to explode and do any kind of damage. Silence also stops every unit in the backline. Disruptor carrying NRV's team there a little bit. Utoni eliminated by PP. NRV Utoni is eliminated by PP, as that is the one other scrappy build gone, which means Bane gets all of those scrappy units back, and he will be going hunting, as Bane actually sells everything to hit level 10 to put down this last scrappy bounty hunter, and that's quite unfortunate, considering that is not the ideal. We will follow PP, as it looks like he is we will see if he can clutch it against It's Martini, which is the top dog aside from Grunt here. The Lich in the back line gonna throw out the Frost Orb, but then Medusa ult actually stones all of the units for Bane. Will Bane be able to do anything? The Viper is very strong. The Viper can carry games sometimes, but will it be enough? No, the Sand King Burrow Strike. The Viper Strike gonna try his best, but there's too many units. Overwhelming. Bane will get eliminated here. PP will get eliminated here by It's Martini. By that overwhelming show of force, Viper 3-star is unable to do so. Bane was also knocked out by Grunt, and we have our top 4, ladies and gentlemen. Illua with his pure Night Strat, and, well, NRVN with his Mage Night Strat. In fact, it's barely any knights in this lineup anymore. There's more warlocks in this build than the build has become quite hybrid, which I'm very much liking, because he was on the brink of losing and there was already a contested knight, and it looks like Grunt will be facing NRVN here, and we will see if maybe NRVN can clutch this against Grunt. Grunt has 4 Arc Wardens in the back doing some damage. Ravage gonna connect on all of his frontline. The silence on the frontline tanks is not going to be enough. The blast is also not enough. The boat gonna connect on both Dragonite. Dragonite gonna breathe fire, but that fire is too cold, as Grunt will eliminate NRVN, and Illua is eliminated by It's Martini, and we have our top 2, ladies and gentlemen. And we will see how this will play out, as it is It's Martini versus Grunt. It's Martini getting that redemption, and we shall look at their teams as we enter a neutral round, fittingly. So we look at It's Martini. He does have the head of Medusa and the legs of Disruptor. Of course, if he gets an Enigma here, he will connect the head and the legs, which will be able to just buff this team even more. Of course, he does not have a shaman, so maybe that's not the best idea, which is perfectly fine. Of course, the Medusa and Disruptor already do quite a lot in terms of crowd control. Sand King, in fact, is his name is crowd control. Grunt, meanwhile, has double Arc Wardens with minus armor and one of them with Daedalus. We will see if the items can change anything for either player, as well, sometimes items can essentially change games here. And as I say that, It's Martini actually gets a +1 unit cap. This means he can put down the Necrophos. Oh, sorry, he already has the Necrophos down. What can he put down here? He does have a Troll Warlord. He has the option for a Troll Warlord. He has the option of a Lich. That is pretty crazy. He decides to put down a Necrophos instead. He has 50 gold versus 11 gold from Grunt. Grunt is completely bankrupt. However, It's Martini is at 322 gold. Maybe 322 gold is a sign. But we don't know. Do we follow Jinxes? We may never know, as Grunt will be facing against It's Martini here. It's Martini will try and power through this front line. The Medusa ult does come out. Ravage also connects, but remember, Medusa has Helmet and Dominator. Stone Gaze actually gets some good damage off, but the Doom goes on Disruptor. That's the perfect unit to get the Doom on, but there's 2 Necrophoses on this board. Will that be enough? Yes, the double heals are keeping them all alive. If the Disruptor manages to stay alive, no! But it doesn't matter. The Bear and the Sand King doing enough here. The Arc Warden trying to do his best to do some damage, but no. Grunt will lose that this round. Not quite a lot of damage, which means It's Martini will have still more work to do, and Grunt will still have more chances to stay in this game. But however, Grunt unfortunately does not have as much economy as It's Martini, and It's Martini actually uses all of his money, in fact, just to get level 10, put the Troll Warlord down, and put the Witch Doctor down, which means he has the legs, the arms, and the head. Unfortunately, he does not have the body, which is the Enigma, but again, he doesn't need that. He has a triple ace lineup here, ladies and gentlemen, and with 2 aces, he managed to win the round. But will the third ace actually be a detriment or a benefit here? The Stone Gate is going to come out, going to stun all the left-hand side units. The Troll Warlord is going to get dragged to the right. The Silence actually lands into Ravage. All the front line are dying. Sand King is still here, which means Burrow Strike is still available. Burrow Strike is going to connect on 2 more Arc Wardens, and Arc Wardens is going to die in the back lines, and that's going to be more HP lost for Grunt, and Grunt will drop to lethal range. And Grunt has no answer. It's Martini has so much economy. It's raining money for It's Martini. He picks up another Necrophos. He picks up another Necrophos. Will he get the final Necrophos? If he gets a third Necrophos, I think it might be game over for Grunt, as that would be overwhelming power. Still looking for the third Necrophos. He finds it. He finds the third Necrophos. He gets another Witch Doctor as well if he wants it. Will he pick up the Witch Doctor? He can pick up the Witch Doctor. He decides not to pick up the Witch Doctor. Right now, he decides to focus on his positioning. He does change his positioning. Arc Warden 3-star for Grunt, though, with Daedalus. Will that be enough? Will that change? Will that be enough change to do some work? Doom comes out on one of the units. Actually goes out on Doom himself. The Tusk trying to tank up some damage. Silence goes out on a few units on the front line, but the Troll is already dead. Medusa is still standing. He does have his ult off cooldown, and that will proc the Necrophos 3-star actually might have done some work. Actually, maybe these 2 Arc Wardens will do some work. The Arc Warden Daedalus actually got a proc. The real Arc Warden dies, though. No, that wasn't the real one. That was the fake one. But the fake Arc Warden, the real one Arc Warden, will do enough and will eliminate the last Disruptor. And Grunt clutches a win from the claws of It's Martini. And Grunt is still in this fight. He refuses to go down, even at a numbers disadvantage, and of course there's still the hunt for better units for It's Martini. He has the options, he has the economy, he has the chances. He is 1 Medusa away from a 2-star Medusa, which should change the game, or a Troll Warlord, which should also change the game in his favor. If he loses, he still has the opportunity to lose another round, because these fights are close. Grunt is not winning this by a landslide. In fact, the Ravage gonna land on the 3 tanks in the front line. Sankey gonna burrow strike, but only defensively. But he goes back to full HP. Ravage gonna connect though. The boat also gonna connect. The Sankey not gonna get the burrow strike off. The silence for the Disruptor gonna try his best here. Doom actually comes out on the Tusk and the Lone Droid, but is that enough? No, the silence on the backline. The Necropulse 1-star not doing enough. Arc Warden trying his best. He summons another illusion, but the illusion doesn't do enough, and that will be another loss for Grunt. Will that be enough damage? Will that eliminate Grunt? And it will, as It's Martini gets that win. A solid win. A solid win by It's Martini. Well played by Grunt. He did his best there, but unfortunately he is unable to just face the overwhelming power of three aces and against 11 units. And I think as well an important factor there was just positioning, right? Because he won around. I think it was because of formation. I think he should have just kept his Arc Warden in the same spot. I don't know, maybe he got scared, maybe he outplayed himself, but that was quite a game. I'm sure it would have been closer, but I'm sure It's Martini is also relieved that it wasn't as close at it as it could have been. But yes, that will be it for me for now. I am again BlueSapphire. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you so much. I will not have a post match discussion. I have unfortunately I have something to do right after this. But thank you so much for following the Dota Underlords Championship number 4. I believe they will be posting the VODs on our YouTube channel eventually, and you can watch the VOD, mute it, and then just watch the games. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.